I'm so glad to see everybody tonight. This wraps up our Black History Month with our partnership with the MLK Association of Westfield. We're so thrilled. It has been a fabulous month of programs, of the wonderful exhibit. So I hope you've been able to come to many of them. I hope you're being able to see our exhibit. And this is rather our last hurrah. But it is a great one. We are ending up on such a high note. Our speaker for tonight is Donnell Carr. Donnell Carr is a board member of the MLK Association of Westfield. And he has done some wonderful paintings at Brightwood Park, if you saw them. So please, I just ask you to please turn off your phones or set them to vibrate, just for out of consideration. Otherwise, please enjoy. I think Donnell's going to lead us into a lot of information and a lot of great participation, maybe. So enjoy, everybody, and thank you so much, Donnell.
And thank you. Can I be heard? Let me say it's good to see everyone out tonight. I'm happy that you are here. I would like to thank first the library, Jennifer, Alan, and the other members of the library for hosting us here this year. You see the museum? I think this might be the last opportunity to see it. I'm not sure. But anyhow, let me correct one thing that Jen said. I didn't do any paintings of Brightwood. Somebody else must have done those. But let me correct. Let me ask the MLK members, quite a few out. Can you stand, MLK? Martin Luther King members? Want everyone to see you and acknowledge our president is here. I think Liz Wolf here. Yeah, Liz is here somewhere, I'm pretty sure.
I think she's in the hallway.
Okay, well, just wanted to lift her up. Hi, Liz. She's in the back there. Lift you up. All right, so I'm going to talk a bit about the spirituals. And what I'm talking about are those songs, that music that came out of enslavement. And what happened is when people were brought over from Africa, primarily, and they were here, they had to adjust. They had to adjust to their new environment. They came over speaking many languages and dialects. They had to learn English. The English folks who controlled everything didn't learn the African languages. So if they were going to communicate, the Africans had to learn English. But there was a melding of both cultures. Some of the music from Europe was blended into some of the music from Africa. And one form of music that came out of that was the spirituals, I should say. And from the spirituals, the evolution continued. Where did the blues come from? The same roots. Where did jazz come from? The same roots. So the music, but ultimately, what resulted was a unique form of music, a unique art form that was nowhere else in the world. And I think that's a good thing to know. There were a few folks, I'll tell you a little more about my background. When I grew up as a boy, I'm from Nashville, and our home was about 6 blocks from Fisk University. And you sort of have to learn about Fisk University a bit if you want to know about the spirituals. Because Fisk actually were the ones that took the spirituals to the world. They took the music. Now, by this time, Fisk was founded in 1866. By this time, there were African Americans who were being educated. One that I will mention Well, I'll mention W.E.B. Du Bois, but because he was at Fisk, that helps put Fisk on the map. But I want to mention the works. There was a John Wesley work, Sr. There was a John Wesley work, Jr. And there was a John Wesley work, the third. So all of these works turned out to be musicians. Some of the music that I will talk about tonight, engage you in tonight, it's going to be arranged by John Wesley Work the third. And I have a cover here that if you want to get a picture of it before you leave, you can, because I'll use this, you can use it as a reference. Now, it turned out that I met John Wesley Work III. I sort of learned at his feet. Because when I was 12 years old, I was a shoe shine boy at Billy and Gilly's barbershop in Nashville. And I used to shine Mr. Work's shoes. That's how I got to know him. I can tell you what, he was a very dignified gentleman. Very poised, always kept sharp, and he was a good tipper. I charged 25 cents to shine a pair of shoes. 25 cents. He tipped me a dime. That's 40%. That's a lot. Can you imagine if you get a 40% tip today, what does that mean? Wow. Generous person. Now, I put together quite a bit, and I know we're not going to be able to engage all of it. So I'm going to just pick snippets. But I want to start with saying this music came from places in the human heart that were sometimes very dark. The places in the human belly where there's terror, where there's sadness, and also, though, where there's longing. And this is how we have to see these spirituals. Those longing, yearning for what every living creature wants. Y'all know what that is, right? Freedom. Freedom. Every living creature wants to be free. Nobody wants to be enslaved. So out of the heart of these people came songs. One that's in my mind right now. See if I can do it. I'm just a pilgrim of sorrow, going through this old world all alone. No hope for the sunshine tomorrow. I'm trying to make heaven my home. Sometimes I feel discouraged. Sometimes I'm all alone. But I've heard of a city called heaven, and I want to make heaven my home. I've been buked and I've been scorned, children. I've been buked and I've been scorned, children. I've been duped and I've been scorned. I've been talked about, sure as you're born. There is trouble all over this world, children. There is trouble all over this world. There is trouble all over this world. There is trouble all over this world. But I ain't gonna lay my religion down. No, no, I ain't gonna lay my religion down. Children, ain't gonna lay my religion down. I ain't gonna lay my religion down. Those songs are from the gut. Yeah. Emotions. But the interesting thing about those songs, they alluded to something. They alluded to a belief, a spiritual belief, a belief in something beyond the voice. Where did they come from? Well, first, the Africans that came here were all very religious people, many religions. But when they got here, they soon learned the religion of the ones that had enslaved them, right? And they heard stories that really excited them, stories that caused them to, well, inspired them and made them yearn really more for freedom. Because the Christian Bible was used, the Christian, I'll say the Christian, it's really the Bible that contains both the Hebrew, the Torah, the prophets, as well as the Christian teachings. The New Testament. We refer to the Old Testament, right? The Hebrew, the Jewish law, and the New Testament as the law of Christ. But what they learned, for instance, they heard a story about a people who had been in bondage, enslaved, for over 400 years. They heard about these people, the descendants of Jacob, that had ended up in a good way, first in Egypt, but after time, in a bad way, they were enslaved. How these people cried out to God to be released from this bondage, to get this oppressive Egyptian hand off of our back. They cried out to God. God sent them a liberator, someone called Moses. Okay, it's good. Moses. And Moses led, you know that story, he led those children of Israel, those Hebrew children, out of Egypt. He led them out of Egypt into the promised land. He actually didn't get to the promised land himself. Y'all know that story, right? He saw it, though. It was Joshua who finally led them in. But what that conjured up in their minds, they pictured that. If someone could be enslaved for 400 years, what about us? Now remember emancipation. What year was that? 1863. And the first Africans here, they say, we're talking history now, 1619, right? So over 240 years. If these people could be there over 400 years, guess what? We haven't been here that long. Maybe we can also be free if we can find a liberator, right? And it turns out a liberator is whoever, in this case, whoever will liberate you. It might be a Harriet Tubman. It could be a Quaker family, a farmer with a wagon that he's willing to take you maybe to the banks of the Ohio River. And maybe you can, when you're thinking about the river, you're thinking about how these people from Israel, those Hebrews, had to cross first the sea, a Red Sea, and then they had to cross. They came in on the east side of the Jordan River, and they had to cross over into Canaan land. It was called Canaan, the Promised Land. So out of that came several songs. And in the next song, I want you to sort of help me in the chorus. I'll tell you when to join in. All right? Well, when Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go, oppressed so hard they could not stand. Let my people go down, Moses, way down Egypt land, tell old Pharaoh, let my people go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land, and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. Informed by the Bible. Another story that they heard was from the prophets, about the prophets, and they heard about a prophet called Elijah. I don't know how many remember the story or anything about Elijah. I know some do. Because it's an interesting story. At the time, Israel was divided really into two parts. It was a northern part called Israel, and there was a southern part called Judea. One of the kings of Israel was a person by the name of Ahab. Remember Ahab? He caused, well, now put it the other way, Elijah caused Ahab a lot of trouble. And Ahab, Elijah had to run for his life. But at one time, there's this one situation where Elijah is out walking with some of his companions, out in an open space. And suddenly, there appeared out of the sky a chariot of fire is how it's described, pulled by horses of fire. Now you have to imagine that. It's pretty difficult for me to imagine horses of fire pulling the chariot of fire. But this chariot descended from heaven, and when it descended, it sort of passed through and separated Elijah from his company. And then Elijah was observed to go up to heaven in a whirlwind. That story inspired them because it was talking about being rescued. Something rescued them. And they imagined what it would be like to be rescued. And you can help me in the next part, right? Swing low, sweet chariot, come on, to carry me home. Oh, for to carry me home. I looked over yonder, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming to carry me home. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down, coming to carry me home. But still my soul is glory bound, coming to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home.
Why don't you swing down, chariot, stomp and let me ride?
Swing down, chariot, let me ride. Lord, rock me, Lord, slow and easy. I'm in the room on the other side. Thank you, Sister Randall. You know, I may just do another chariot song as well. Let's do that, another one. Like I say, what I have, I'm going to just have to manipulate it. Since we're on the chariot topic, right? Good news, the chariot's coming. Good news, the chariot's coming. Good news, the chariot's coming. And I don't want to be left behind. There are silver slippers in the heavens, I know. Silver slippers in the heavens, I know. Silver slippers in the heavens, I know. And I don't want to be left behind. Good news, the chariot's coming. Good news, the chariot's coming. Good news, the chariot's coming. And I don't want to be left behind. There are long white robes in the heavens, I know. 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 And I don't want to be left behind. Good news, chariot's coming. Good news, chariot's coming. Good news, chariot's coming. And don't want to be left behind. There are golden crowns in the heavens, I know. 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 And I don't want to be left behind. Well, thank you for that inspiration, Sister. That one wasn't on my list, but it just... So we talked about the Jordan River. And the Jordan River could mean... The one thing about spirituals, many of them were codified. They had messages. But the messages were used in the song. The folks who heard the song and knew the song knew what the message meant, right? So when you're talking about crossing the Jordan River, you could be talking about the Ohio River. Or you could be going west, north enough and cross the mighty Mississippi River. Depends on where you were. And Jordan River is in a lot of the songs. The promised land is on the other side. Deep river, I want to cross. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over to campground. Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over to campground. Oh, who will come and go with me to the beautiful city beyond the sea? Deep river, my home is over Jordan. Deep river, Lord, I want to cross over. I want to cross over. I want to cross over to campground. And sometimes the crossing required planning. And it could be, again, like I said before, the message in some of the songs would be the key, it would be what you need to know. I understand that Harriet Tubman actually used one song, more than one, but the one I'm thinking about is Steal Away. Away, steal away, steal away, steal away to Jesus. Steal away home. I ain't got long to stay here. My Lord, He calls me by the number. The trumpet sounds within my soul. I ain't got long to stay here. Steal away, steal away, steal away to Jesus. Steal away home. I ain't got long to stay here. And that could be now quiet as midnight. Folks start moving. Because if they can get to the banks of that river, there might be waiting for them a boat. Or another means, somebody else comes through. And it could be a Harriet Tubman. She's going to be here at a certain time. Midnight, clock strikes midnight, be ready. So you now know where to go, where you'll be collected, and where you'll be ferried north. One thing about north, was it 1850, I think, Congress passed a law, 1850. Fugitive slave law. Used to be if you got to Philadelphia, New York, you'd be safe. But then after they passed this law, you weren't safe anywhere in this country. Had to get out. So the next destination would be Canada. Okay, some of these songs are lamentations, mournful songs, songs that reach down in your soul, in your spirit. I think that's why they call them spirituals. The thing that motivates your spirit, something that you can't define just by your physical being. That's why it's a spiritual. But some of the songs they sang were humorous. I was thinking about one. It's called Scandalize My Name. You heard that one? I see Sarah. Just as soon as my back was turned, scandalize my name. If I give you my hand, I'm giving you what? When I say, give you my hand, what am I doing?
Fellowship.
Fellowship, friendship, right? Confidence, I'm confiding in you, right? Well, I met my sister the other day. What? Yes. And when I said that, I'm changing something here, so let me do something. Oh, maybe we'll just go with that. That's right. We'll go with it. I met my sister the other day. I gave her my right hand. But just as soon as my back was turned, she scandalized my name. That's how it works. So, do you call that a sister? No. Everybody, no. Do you call that a sister? No. Do you call that a sister? No. She scandalized my name. Well, I met my brother the other day. I gave him my right hand, but just as soon as my back was turned, he scandalized my name. What do you call that, a brother? Do you call that a brother? Do you call that a brother? He scandalized my name. Well, I met my preacher, don't see him here, the other day. I gave him my right hand, but just as soon as my back was turned, he scandalized my name. What do you call that, a preacher? Do you call that a preacher? Do you call that a preacher? He scandalized my name. Well, I met my church the other day. I gave them my right hand, But just as soon as my back was turned, they scandalized my name. Do you call that religion?
No, no.
Do you call that religion?
No.
Do you call that religion?
No.
He scandalized my name.
Mercy.
I got a feeling some have experienced that.
No.
Okay. One of the songs that was a song that was really loved by Paul Robeson and Dr. Martin Luther King, one of their favorite songs. I will sing that one now, and I'll give you a place to come in if you wish. Balm in Gilead. There is a balm in Gilead to make the sin-sick soul. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. Sometimes I feel discouraged. I think my life's in vain. But then the Holy Spirit revives my soul again. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. Next verse reverse those last two. If you cannot preach like Peter, if you cannot teach like Paul, you can tell the grand old story of how he died for all. There is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. To heal the sin-sick soul. I'm looking at, we're going to leave a few minutes if we want some conversation. So, does anyone have a song that you might wish for us to sing? And while you're thinking about that, I'll just.
Sometimes I feel like a motherless child.
Let me see if I have it in my. Might have
Or
that.
any other one.
If you want to, read
Or
this,
any other
you want to go with that?
Or
Read
any
this on
other
that one. I don't think I have that one in
That's
here.
all right. Anything else, Josh, figure it out.
How about Every Time I Feel the
Oh,
Spirit?
that's a good one.
No, that one, right? I'm looking at my song book here to see what's in there. I don't think I have the other one in here. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving moving in my heart, I will pray. Oh, Jordan River is chilly and cold. It chills the body, but not the soul. I looked around me, it looked so fine. I asked my Lord if all was mine. Well, every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. There ain't but one train runs on this track. It runs to heaven and runs right back. St. Peter's waiting at the gate. Says, come on, sinner, don't be late. So every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Every time I feel the Spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. I will pray. I will pray. Now, every time we sing one of these songs, it's going to be a little different from the time before. How is it? One thing that John Wesley Work III observed when he was out, he traveled with a person by the name of Alan Lomax.
Oh,
You know that name?
yeah.
Folklorist, musicologist, ethnomusicologist, lots of things, but so was John Wesley Work. And they traveled to the Delta of Mississippi and found the blues. They recorded some of those. They went to Appalachia and recorded some of that beautiful music that comes out of those hills of East Kentucky and East Tennessee. And, but they observed that. So what happened, and I'll give you 3 names if you're interested. Henry Thackeray Burleigh, B-U-R-L-E-I-G-H. Don't know if I ever pronounced it correctly. And John Wesley Work, first, second, third, all of them. Hall Johnson, that name, beautiful. These were the ones that did most of the arranging of the songs because they noticed the songs and they said, let's put it in a form where we can give choral presentations. They wanted, and so they formed choirs. Now this is one of the gifts. Out of slavery, out of every bad thing comes some good thing, something good. One of the things that I don't believe what one of our recent governors said, so I won't even quote him, the one down south there. But I do believe this, that when you are subjected, when you're in the valley, you're in a place where you probably have an advantage that you wouldn't have if you were on the mountaintop. You see things you wouldn't see. You know, it's our suffering that sometimes brings about the best in us. And I think this was true with the spirituals. We wouldn't have these spirituals if they came out of the enslaved. They came out of the conditions that were imposed on them. Right? And that's where the music came from. The black universities, the HBCUs, everybody knows that term, they were the ones who took this music to the world. And the folks up the street from us, Fisk University, were the #1 in that regard. 1866, in a year or so, they're broke. They're always broke. Fisk is still pretty much broke, by the way. They're always looking for money. They need it. But they were at a point where they didn't have any money left. They're broke. And there was a young man, I think he was called George Leonard White. You'll have to look that up to be sure. But he was former Union Army officer. He was really the first person to work at Fisk. Now, Fisk did not really have any African American faculty members until a few years. But he thought about putting this choral group together and sending them out to perform. They arranged the music, they sent it out. Guess what? They were successful. They went to England and performed for Queen Victoria.
Wow.
And Queen, she put her stamp of approval on it, put it that way. They became very popular. In fact, it is said that Nashville is called Music City. It used to be called Music City. Still is by some. But many say that came from Queen Victoria, because she says, where are they from? It must be a music city because they're so good. So that's a nice, interesting story. But the black colleges and universities spread these, arranged them, composed them, and spread them. And that's, I'm looking at the time there. So I'm going to just end with one song. On my journey now, Mount Zion, on my journey now, Mount Zion, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey now, Mount Zion. One day, I was walking alone, and the elements opened, and down came glory, Mount Zion. On my journey now, Mount Zion, on my journey now, Mount Zion, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey now, Mount Zion. Now you can talk about me as much as you please. I'll talk about you when I'm on my knees. Mount Zion, on my journey now, on my journey now. Well, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey now, Mount Zion. And that's about all I have to say. I thank you all for coming to hear me. And I hope you gain something from it. If you have any questions, I'll try to. We don't have. I think we're out of time here, aren't we, Jennifer? For now.
Maybe one or two questions.
If you have 1 or 2 questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, I will wish you. Yes, Beverly.
Since you've taken me back, I want another song.
Encore.
Encore. Yes, please.
What song?
I don't know, you take your choice.
Anybody have a song that they? Let me see what I have in the book here. I don't. Do we have that time, Jennifer? For another song? Well, let me just see what I have here.
Don, while you're looking for that, is there anyone today that's writing in the Negro spiritual?
But you have to choose quickly, so we.
Well, listen. I'm going to. I know you have. It's almost 8 o'clock. I'll do a song that Paul Robeson did, and you can understand the. You have to picture it. It's about an auction block. Everybody knows what an auction block is?
Yeah.
It's about a pint of salt. Do you know that some folks could be traded for a pint of salt? It's called No More Auction Block for Me. And And I'm just gonna make sure that I'll get out of here before we run out. Driver's lash, you know what a driver was? Driver's lash, a whip, the driver, 100 lash, mistress. No more auction block for me, no more, no more, no more auction block for me, many thousand gone. No more peck of corn for me, no more, no more, no more peck of corn for me, many thousand gone. No more 100 lash for me, no more, no more, no more 100 lash for me, many thousand gone. No more mistress call for me, no more, no more, no more mistress call for me, many thousand gone. Times. Thank y'all. Thank you, my brother. Well, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. You're welcome. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Well, I wish we had more time. We could talk some more in Cincinnati.